So it's time to get a website designed. But how do you go about hiring a designer? What do you look for in a great website design? Now, it's really hard if you're in the digital industry to actually know what you're paying for and what should be included in a great job. Now, I've had a lot of clients over the past year that have come to me to fix some really bad designed websites that they've had, actually spent thousands of dollars on. And I thought I'd come up with a bit of help educate you in how you can go about engaging one and 5 things to look for when engaging a web designer. Because look, it's not your job to design a website. That's why you hire a professional. But it is your job to hold these guys accountable for their work. So let's look at my 5 tips on what to look for in a great web designer. Number 1 is make sure your web designer has a plan for your website. This is crucial and is essentially the strategy on how you communicate with your audience online. If you don't have a plan, the whole thing could fall over. So think about if you're going to build a house. You wouldn't even start building a house until you knew what it looked like and you had a plan. Well, a website's absolutely no different. And when I say planning, I mean how many pages do you want? What functionality do you want? Like, what do you want the website to do? How do you want to communicate to your audience? Even down to wireframing the pages and the user experience. All of this is to do with a plan. And look, if you're doing things on the fly or building as you go, you're going to open yourself up to a really frustrating process and possible extra costs with scope creep and added things here and there. So make sure your web designer has a plan. Number 2, and this is something a lot of web designers don't think about, is the brand and your brand messaging up to scratch? If you've got a beautiful website, you spent thousands and thousands of dollars on this amazing website, but the logo is really average, the messaging on the website is really average, and you're not connecting to your audience, it's all going to fall over. It's a really important part of the process of connecting with your audience. You need to make sure that your branding and your messaging is on point. A great website designer should be able to let you know if something's wrong with your logo or your messaging, because if there is a disconnect there between your brand and your messaging to your audience, then the website's not going to work. So it's really important to audit your branding and your messaging to make sure that you are communicating to your desired audience. This is crucial in the success of a great website. Number 3 is not all web programmers are great designers. Now, what I mean by that, and look, there's a lot of programmers that aren't going to like this, but most programmers are really great at that technical stuff because it's not the creative side of the brain, it's the real technical functionality, making sure the website actually works the way it should, which is vital to the success of the website. But you need a designer or a graphic designer to design the front end of the website. With those two together, you're going to have a really great result. And with a designer, they should be supplying mock-ups of every single page on the website before they even get to the developing side. And make sure that they're using the right fonts that are in line with your brand. Make sure they're using great imagery. They're putting a lot of effort into the design. Make sure the padding around buttons is great. Things line up. It's the real simple stuff that can make a massive difference at the end result. So when you do hire a web designer, just ask the question, do you have a front-end graphic design team? Because the result will be so much better. So tip number 4, is a great question to ask is, do they consider user experience? Or are they just taking what you've got and just whacking it up there? Because user experience is so important to how your customer interacts with your website. I'm talking about how do they get from A to B? Do you make it nice and simple? Do you not overwhelm them with information? Is it easy to, did it have call to actions? Is it easy to get in touch with you? As well as this, your website must respond to all personal devices. And I'm talking phones, iPads. If your website is not responding to personal devices in 2020 onwards, then you're in big trouble and you're wasting your money with your designer. So for example, when we test a website, we have a look at every single page. And with every single page, we look at that on 4 different browsers. We look at it on 5 to 6 different screen resolutions, including your phone and your iPad, landscape, portrait. All of those resolutions need to be looked at when designing a website. So look, this does get time consuming, and a good way to know if they're actually testing your website well is the quote. If the quote's really small, then more than likely they're not testing it on every device properly. Tip number 5, and this is a really great one, every website should have the foundations of SEO considered. There is no point having a beautiful website with great user experience, great messaging, everything's going great on it, but you can't find it. Like, what's the point of spending all that money if you can't find the website? So with every single page that you're developing, they need to look at keyword research. You need to write this into the content. It's really important to be found on Google. They also have a lot of voice recognition that is a big trend right now, and if your website's not set up for this, you're in for big trouble and your website's not going to perform as well as it could. If you are struggling with your copy on your website and the keyword research, you can always ask a copywriter to get involved and get them to write it for you. This will be a great way of getting your tone of voice, getting it professionally written and getting those keywords in there and actually making it sound great. And today I'm going to give you a bonus tip. When you're getting a website quoted, just because the quote's really high doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do a great job. Please use those 5 points that I've listed. Make sure that they're keeping all of those things in mind when building your website. If they're not, then you could be wasting your money with them, because those 5 points are the foundations of a really great website, and it's going to get you really great results. You could save thousands of dollars, and look, a great website should be creating leads, it should be converting, it's your hardest working employee, so it deserves that attention to detail and it deserves a great investment. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.